Hello, everybody. Today, I am here to do my first comic review of 2025. That being DC's The New Frontier. They made a movie of this a couple years after this book came out, and this book came out in 2003. And it's I think the writer is Dwayne Cookie and Dave Stewart, who wrote this book. And I gotta say, this book is definitely a love letter to DC's Silver Age and the early start to the new era of DC Comics. It's about basically a civil war for the DC characters. Superheroes are restricted from being superheroes unless they're run by the government. And if they aren't with the government, then they will get arrested. And that's basically the plot of Civil War Marvel. But this story is more about the new frontier of superheroes fighting against the social issues, but also going up against an alien threat that is inhabiting the DC world. This book does follow some of the movie, because some people don't like the whole book is better than the movie because the movie just ignores stuff. But the Hedgehog Nerd told me that movies and books are separate. And I agree. But does this story hold up? And it definitely does. But it mainly jumps a lot with characters. We have a story about the early start of Martian Manhunter and how he became an outcast who was afraid of expressing himself and showing his alien form because people wouldn't understand it. And then there's a story about how Hal Jordan became a test pilot who dreamed of being one. But in the movie, they don't explore his childhood. The first half of the book is exploring his childhood, and we slowly see him become the Green Lantern that we know. And there's some parts with the DC Trinity. Wonder Woman is elected in a war, but when she speaks of what she believes, she ends up getting pulled to the side. Batman's in this, but he's not in it much. But I do like the transition they do with Batman. He goes from the vigilante who's on the run, but eventually I think later in the story, he ends up just investigating what's going on, and he decides to change his ways. Because earlier in the book, John becomes like a detective he shapeshifts in the one after watching it on the TV. That was also shown in the movie. But he runs into Batman beating up some cult members. But after frightening a little boy, Batman decides to change his ways. He wears a lighter costume. He has Robin. And I like how he tells Superman that they stumbled upon paths on each other. Like how basically Batman lost his parents, Dick Grayson lost his parents, and so they came together because of it. But what also stands out in this book is the Flash. I love the Flash in this. He goes from he's just basically the superhero who's just trying to do the right thing, whether he's registered or not. He basically stops Captain Cold, saves Iris, but after getting attacked by the government, he ends up retiring until he decides to break out of his shell and help the remaining heroes take down the alien threat. But we also get some other stuff that's not in the movie at all. We get John Henry, who is, if you don't know your DC lore, he's basically, after Superman dies, during that, John Henry built his own metal suit and became a Superman of his own until Clark Kent came back. But in this story, he basically stops the KKK. I don't know if I should say that on YouTube, but he actually gets killed just for being black. It's very tragic, And we even see a little girl say the N-word in this. I'm like, whoa, I was not expecting that. I kind of see why they cut it out of the movie, because they maybe thought it was too dark. But I know I'm going to be comparing a lot of the movie and the book, but that's what makes it fun. But when the characters do come together, we basically get some backstory with Rick Flag. He basically was in the movie, but he doesn't get much character. But in this book, he gets a lot of character. We learn about his relationship with his wife. And we learn about the great sacrifice he makes when launching a rocket to save people from the neo-Nazis, I'm pretty sure. And he sacrifices himself by blowing up his ship with his wife. And he even has a flash before his eyes. That seems very nice, but Superman ends up saving him. But in the movie, it's Hal Jordan goes to space. But when Hal does become Green Lantern, it's actually entertaining. It follows how the story goes. If you know the Green Lantern lore, he meets Abin Sur. He's given a ring, and then after his pilot ship crashed. But when Hal becomes Green Lantern, it's very entertaining. He doesn't really use the ring until we get to the final battle, and I do like how in the final battle, Superman tries to recruit as many people as he can, but he ends up getting blasted by the alien threat, and he basically falls underwater. But the only characters left is Flash, Green Lantern, this other I forget his name. He's one of the government agents. We get a bunch of cool characters coming together. We even see Green Arrow join the team, and he gets a lot more scenes as well. But they all come together. I like how they say how they're all just here to do the right thing, stop a threat from hitting America. It's not going to be about Republicans or Democrats. It's really just a group of people coming together, and that's what I like. It actually teaches us what America is about. And it can, I'm not to get too political, but like some people are very deep into politics, and it's just a lot of negativity. But I like how this is basically a love letter of what we can be as people. We can all be good people towards each other and fight against the wrong. But basically what their plan is, they're going to use Ray Palmer, who joined them, but he's recruited by the government guy instead of Batman. Because Batman recruits him in the movie. I guess they wanted to have Batman in the end. I wish Batman was in the final of this. That's my only issue with this book. But their plan is to shrink the thing. The giant alien spacecraft, when Hal Jordan and his team basically go in there, and they're going to cut a hole in there for Barry to run all over the spacecraft so they can shrink it. And that's basically what they do. And Hal does the rest of the magic. He puts on the ring, saves his comrades after they go into like a wormhole of like weird stuff. But Hal Jordan puts on the ring, picks it up, and then throws it into a star. And all the heroes gather together, and they get a nice group picture. So, yeah. DC's New Frontier is definitely... The comic is definitely better than the movie, in my opinion. I do enjoy the movie a lot. I would love to review it. But I don't know if it'd be doing the same review as this. But we'll have to wait and see. But it ends with the Justice League formation, and we get a nice speech from JFK. So yeah, that's the New Frontier. I don't know what other comics I'll review. If I ever finish one, I'm definitely going to review it on this channel. So I'd probably give this story probably why not a 10 out of 10? So, what do you think of Justice League: The New Frontier? It's definitely a great story of sacrifice, justice, and definitely doing the right thing. And it's definitely a big love letter. By the way, I even like how this story takes place in the 50s and goes to the 60s. So, yeah, it's a giant love letter to the Silver Age of DC Comics. If you're really into that stuff, then you're probably going to like this. And I forgot to mention one thing. Superman does get rescued after getting shot down. But, yeah, Superman basically forms the Justice League, essentially, in this. So, yeah, it's a nice formation of the Justice League. So, yeah. I don't know what I'll review next for comic books. I don't know how often I'll review it. But, definitely check it out if you have the time. So, with that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.